Hi, well, look, welcome back, everyone, and time for, I suppose, the next exciting episode on our Procurement and Finance Coffee Break. And actually, do you know what? We were sort of mulling over what topics we were going to talk about, in today's one. And do you know what came up? How do we work smarter? How do we? Because Claire and I, the reason we're doing this by flipping Teams meeting again is because both of our diaries are so flipping out of control that we haven't managed to get together. We had it all scheduled and it's all gone wrong. And actually, it's just reflective of the way we work, which is everything's busy, everything's chaos, and off we go. And it doesn't matter, whether you're an entrepreneur, you're in a professional manager role, or you're just, you're, right at the start of your career, but you're just looking to just get a bit more balance, I guess. I hope what we're going to share now will be useful. What do you think?
Yeah, hopefully so. So
Hmm.
let's get to the basics. When we say work smart,
Yeah,
and don't work hard, obviously I think everyone does still have to work hard to some
yeah,
degree, but but um but sometimes working smart, as I was telling you about recently, for me was the breakthrough in a challenging engagement.
yeah.
So, so what does work smart mean, and why is it crucial to give yourself space to think?
Right. This isn't meant to sound lazy, but we're not put on this planet to work 24/7. And in fact, if you are working 24/7, the chances are you're not actually getting out what you should. Life is about balance and it's about being able to enjoy your work with less stress, less wasted time. And actually, what it's really about is your ability to get rid of the things that are just clutter so you can give yourself time to think about the things that matter. And we talked a lot in previous finance and coffee breaks at big company level about creating value and having a vision and sorting out all we're talking about is the same thing for you as an individual, which is what you want to achieve. There's a great way of going about it, and that's unlikely to be the way you're doing it if your meeting is full of 25 your day is full of 20-30 minute pointless meetings on Teams. So it's about decluttering and giving yourself space. Is
Mm.
my view. And we operate in different circles, procurement and finance, but I suspect we both see the same things. I mean, what have you seen in terms of the way that people can go about creating, if you like, that mental space for themselves? I mean, is there anything practical that you've
Yeah,
seen that's really worked for you?
yeah. So I think, as you say, having your diary full and not having space to think is not necessarily going to be as impactful as you could be, because particularly if you're trying to solve some difficult problems, um, if you don't actually provide yourself with time to reflect on what you've heard, what you've seen, and then try and put that in context with your experience to
Yeah,
date.
yeah,
um you need to give yourself some time to debrief, and that means
yeah.
prioritizing your work. Block some time out, whether it's a lunch
Yeah,
break
good one. Yeah,
where you reflect on how your day's going over lunch. um Try and practice mindfulness, or I say just block out time where you can think without looking at your phone or a laptop. Just think without. Another thing I think is continuous learning as well.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I think we often think, well, why should we adopt continuous learning? And the way I look at it is this: if you are doing something and you realize that you are struggling to do that,
Yeah.
whether it's giving feedback to a colleague at work, or
Mm.
working out the problem to a complex client problem, whatever it
Yeah.
is, if you're struggling with something, consider it as a opportunity to develop yourself more in that
Yeah.
area. What
Yep.
can you do to learn, be it online courses? I mean, there's so much these days in terms of online courses that are free. You know yourself,
Yeah.
you're a coach. Um, so so those are 4 areas. I think the other area is to try and set boundaries as well. So for myself, I try not to work at the weekends.
Yeah.
If I do, it's only because I want to think about a problem uh, without any interruptions, and I just want to mull on it some more.
Yeah.
And it's my choice to do that.
Yeah.
If
Choice. Yeah.
you if you know, I will very rarely agree to work at the weekends unless it's absolutely critical. Uh, and 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 that's not to say I'm not working, because as I was telling you about a little while ago, um, I recently realised what the solution to a client's problem was when I was reflecting on it at the weekend, without my
Right.
laptop open, without looking at my phone.
Yeah.
I was just putting their problem into the context of other client engagements I'd worked on, and the sort of answer came to me.
Right. Well, yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Right.
so those are some of my tips about, not having your laptop and your phone open, creating
Yeah.
space and creating boundaries. Richard, what are your tips about, creating space and time to think? What's your point of view?
Well, okay. So, as you know, I'm bone idle. So, therefore, trying to create time to think. And you make a really good point. You might sit at your desk looking at a problem, and then you'll go for a walk and you'll just get the solution. It'll pop into your head. Why? Because you stepped away from all the chaos and you just gave yourself some space. And that's the problem. We don't have space. So look, 2 tips that I talk to people that I coach about. The under the bus test and shortening your meetings. So under the bus test, dead simple. You're going to work, you get run over by a bus. You're going to be totally okay, but you're going to be off work for 3 months, which means one of your colleagues has got to pick up your meetings. Now, they cannot do all of your meetings because they've already got a full diary. So you're going to have to go through it and tell them what matters. So under the bus, we're going to do a traffic light test. And you can all do this now. Go and look at your calendars for the last 2, 3 weeks and be really honest. Go through the meetings, use your, Outlook color coding or Google color coding. Meetings that are red are ones that you have to be there because actually the project, the business, whatever would fail if you weren't at that meeting. Those are the ones you're going to have to tell your colleague to go to. Yellow, there are bits that are important, but not all of it. So maybe your colleague could go for 15 minutes or 20 minutes at the start, get the minutes, and doesn't need all the rest of it. Shorten them. And then green. And I will bet you money that when you do this exercise, you're going to find at least half of what you've got is green. And let me tell you what a green meeting is. Anything that's been in your diary as a recurring meeting since the pandemic, green. Anything that doesn't have, anything that doesn't have minutes or records of decisions or actions, green. Actually, if we're going to be really brutally honest, any meeting that you join and you leave your camera off and then you get on with your Outlook email while pretending you're at the meeting, green meeting. And you would tell your colleague you don't need to go to them. Well, here's the magic. Do it yourself. It's not your colleague, it's you. So the red ones go to, the yellow ones shorten, the green ones, just get rid of them, decline them. You can be perfectly polite about it. I've got a clash. I'm going to step out to this meeting. If anything important comes up, please let me know and I'll come and join. Absolutely fine. So there you go, under the bus, traffic lights. The second one is shorten. And by the way, you can do this automatically on Outlook. Why do we send meetings for an hour or half an hour? Don't send it for 45 or 50 minutes and 15 or 20 minutes. You'll still cover everything, but you'll do two things. You think about it, 8-hour day, 10, 15 minutes shorter. There's an hour and a half to 2 hours of time you've just freed up for yourself. Secondly, even if you have got one of those days from hell where everything's back to back, none of us can go 8 hours meeting to meeting. We don't do it. You know, we go and get a coffee, or we go to the loo, or we read the email, and we don't join, or we leave early, or we switch off. You know, we don't do it. Just shorten your meeting. And by the way, if someone sends you a meeting from now on, hour or half an hour, just propose a new time. Just say, I can only do 50 minutes. I can only do 20 minutes. And you'll be amazed how quickly people adopt it. There's some other stuff as well. I mean, they're two really practical things that you can do. After that, you know, there are lots of tools that you can use, you know, that you can go online, Motion or whatever, and it will schedule stuff for you. Ultimately, it's about be flexible, talk to people, you know, be honest. You cannot do 8 hours of back-to-back meetings, because otherwise you will be working at the weekend to do all the stuff that you haven't managed to do during the day. And it's about, like everything in life, continuous improvement, which is look at how it's going, ask yourself, do I have the time to do the big ticket work that I need to do during the day? And if you don't, then some other stuff has got to go, because you can't clone yourself, and you shouldn't be working evenings, and you shouldn't be working at the weekend unless, as Claire says, you know, you're choosing to. So to my mind, sort your diary, block out some time for yourself. Don't be rigid in the way it is. Just, you know, let it go with the flow. Some days are busy, some days aren't. But if you haven't got 20% of your week totally clear just for you, maybe 2 hours a day to do the stuff that you need to think about, then you need to free up some time. And hopefully those couple of ideas will help. So there you go. There are my thoughts.
Great. Well, thanks, Richard. So we've heard some good tips today, and I guess the key takeaways are set boundaries, technology management. So step away from the laptop, step away from the mobile phone.
Absolutely.
Block some time out, as I mentioned. You know, I like to try and block my lunch hour out where I can eat my lunch and not look at my laptop or my phone, and just think about how the day's progressing and what my priorities for the afternoon are.
Yeah.
And then you've given us some good tips there with the under the bus.
Yeah, it's a bit morbid, but it does work. It does work.
Yeah, exactly. And then shortening meetings as well, so you're not just back to back in calls all day.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well,
there we go.
Another coffee break over with. We hope you enjoy those tips from us.
Yes. Perfect. And I don't know what we're doing next. Do we know what we're doing next? We haven't got a clue, have we?
I don't think we've decided yet. No, we're not as organised.
It was. Here we go. Here we are talking to you about time management and freeing up time. And trust me, this one was thrown together in the one spare hour that we had between us. But hey, we got there, so it's all good.
All right. Well.
Oh, we're all being polite. I know.
Yeah.
Have a great time. We'll see you next time. Have a great time. Bye-bye.